Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. My name's Tanya. I'm the head of Discover Your Feminine Power, helping you to get back into your feminine power. So, today I have a very special guest, and let's welcome Christina in Vienna.
Hello, hi everyone. So nice to be here.
Thanks for joining, Christina. I'm very glad to chat with you today. Um, And the reason why I wanted to chat with you is because, as we can already see, you have a fashion label, right?
Yes, right now I'm in the middle, the heart piece of my personal collection, my wardrobe. It's basically where it all began at one point. But yeah, I'm a fashion designer and a product designer, and I run my own label called Kalissi since a couple of years. And yeah, I'm very excited to talk a bit further about what I do and how it all started.
Great. So the name of Christina's fashion label is Kalissi, and we will give you all the links later in the descriptions. Don't worry about that. So the amazing thing about Christina is that she is creating fashion without having even studied fashion. And I love this aspect about her. She just boldly goes ahead with what she wanted to create on this earth. Christina, nowadays we don't need to have the degrees anymore to really do what we want, right?
Yeah, I guess it's a blessing and a curse at the same time because you have to be even more bold, especially when you haven't studied something in specific. Like I didn't come across studying fashion design. I started out in advertising and graphic design, and then later on moved to photography. And I kind of found out that all of these areas were very interesting, but they didn't really give me a 365-degree angle on what I was passionate about. So yeah, there was this one day that I was gifted a sewing machine for my birthday, and I was going through quite a rough patch at that point in my life. And when my mom gave me the sewing machine, I was kind of like, what am I going to do with this? I don't really need a hobby. I need a purpose in life, you know? So at first, I had no idea that this was ever going to become something that I'm so passionate about. And I guess I just started playing around with it and very shortly realized that you don't really need to be a designated fashion designer in order to just create and just, bring out beautiful designs that are very dear to yourself. And that's really all how it started.
Hmm. So you say the passion led you there.
I guess at that moment I wasn't quite sure of the wording. I didn't think of it as a passion or maybe as a business or a career. I just simply did what felt really good at that moment, which I guess now I can say that's the sign of being passionate about something. And yeah, I guess it's all about playing and being passionate in that way.
Yeah, playing. We will get to this a bit more later about playing and being in the moment, which is very much more about the feminine essence, in my opinion. But tell me, Christina, you're designing things and creating things. Isn't that already something really inherently feminine? Would you agree to that?
Yes, absolutely. And I think what's really important when, no matter whether you're working on a career or you're just doing something as a hobby, is that you really stick to that playing part. Because it's very easy when you, like in my case, for instance, while I was starting with my first designs, I was still working in advertising. So I was kind of focusing on fashion as a hobby. And then after a year or so, I really felt the urge to go more into that field and really be brave and just leave my job and start all over and do my own thing. And at first, it was really playing, but then you kind of ambitious, which is a good thing. But then there's a very thin line between ambition and being career driven and playing. So I had my own unique and very long way of coming to that point where I can say, okay, actually, it doesn't really matter what the goal is, as long as you do what really moves your heart and gives you that kind of passion, you're going to get to that goal without even worrying about timing or place. And I think that I believe that's the biggest part in doing what we're passionate about.
Wow, you said that in such a beautiful way. We might want to hear that again and again. Can you show us a few of your pieces since you already are there?
Sure, of course. Well, actually, for instance, this shirt is from my latest summer collection. I can stand up maybe to see it, so you can see it a bit closer. It's a very playful, I would say, traditional cut, but then it has this, details where this voluminous sleeve comes in and this fun scarf that you can like fold in many different ways, which I find
Wow.
very unique. Or maybe my earrings, they're also from the latest summer collection. And then technically, I have so many pieces here. Maybe this shirt, which is all about color. So I love color. I'm very passionate about color. And I think it's from my designs, I think the line between playfulness, femininity, and color is what I really love and what I focus on. So yeah, being bold in a way with those things.
Yeah, that was a nice little collection there. Beautiful. I like the colors too, very clear also. Yeah, so on your
Thank you.
website, people can see more if they want to check it out later on. But let's get back into our topic. We just discussed that this playfulness needs to remain in what we do and the passion and being in that moment. Is that how you create a new piece when you sit down and create a new piece for your collection?
Yeah, it is very funny because I tried many different approaches. Because when I used to work in advertising, for anyone who's worked in advertising or marketing, or so to speak, they know that you're expected to deliver many great ideas in a very short period of time. So you're kind of like an idea machine. And from that perspective, that's how I knew how designing worked really. And when I started with fashion, the first collection was brought to life very much by intuition. By just, I didn't really do much research in which kind of direction I wanted to go. It all just came out of me and it happened very naturally. And then after my first collection, I started with my second collection, and it was still on that like level of intuition, but trying to be a bit more focused. And I guess the danger in it all is that very often you have agents or buyers telling you like, yeah, no, that's too loud, or that's too playful, or that's not commercial enough. And then I think with my third collection, mm, I kind of lost that sense of intuition when it comes to designing. So I was very much caught up between, okay, producing ideas, like how I used to do it in advertising, and trying to be commercial, but then still trying to express myself. And it was a very long way back to the beginning, designing via your intuition and by bringing things to life naturally is the most sufficient and the most pleasant way of creating.
I'm sorry, there was a bit of a lag. I couldn't hear the last bit. You mind repeating? There is a very long way.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it was a very long way for me to actually come back to where I started, which was designing and creating with my pure intuition and my passion, and not focusing on what buyers want to see or what the industry wants me to be. And yeah, that was quite a big obstacle to overcome, to be honest.
Okay. Thank you for repeating. So you say after this third collection, you kind of lost the touch to the feminine and playful way of creating. And you say there was a long way to get back to this vibe and where you are now. Do you see parallels to other women who are trying to produce the best, or be the best, or try to be what society wants them to be, but they lose the touch of the feminine essence and to create in this playful way?
Yes, unfortunately, I see it all the time. Whether that's within my friend circle or with other women within the industry, or just, it kind of to the same topic over and over. It's just that we're kind of told from a very early age on, I think, but that's my very personal opinion, that no matter, in school or in university or in your first job or whatever, we're very goal oriented. Like, so when you do finish that degree, you will have the better job. When you do finish those 2 years being a trainee, you will move on eventually to becoming an art director. And you always do these things in order to like wait and do more and be more driven. And I think it is a very masculine way of living. It's very static, that you do one task after the other. So for instance, the system tells you, okay, well, you're at school until you're 18, then you go to university until you're, I don't know, in your mid-20s, and then you do this and do that. And it's very much, okay, once I ticked off all of these things, I can become the real me. And it was a very painful experience for me, actually, because that's also how I myself, and that's how I knew how life worked, kind of. And yeah, at one point I came to realize that it's just not how it works really in the day. And what does it even mean to be a feminine designer or a feminine woman these days? And I think many women are struggling with this, but I think talking about it and seeing other women, being open about it is opening up this conversation, which is so important, that we can eventually start working differently and enjoying our lives more.
Exactly. I can relate to this a lot. When I was a teenager, people kept asking me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Right? And I was astonished. I thought, like, what? I have to become something else than I already am? I never understood the question, actually, until now. Now I see that we already are perfect, that we already have everything in us that we need. Yeah. Um, yes, I can relate to all that you just said very much. And I think we do everything too much with this list, very much focused with our head, ticking the box one step after another, which is the very masculine way of doing things. And our mothers have not taught us to do it the feminine way.
Exactly.
But yeah, what's the feminine way for us? For me, it's very much about, yeah, the playfulness, following the passion, connecting, and yeah, you having things come to you.
I guess it's also very much about receiving, which is a big topic, because I think there's a lot of guilt in receiving until you feel like you deserve it. And that's again bringing it back to the whole sort of like system of accomplishment. Like, you're only able to receive after a certain point. So that kind of leaves you hungry and unsatisfied for the whole run, because you think like, okay, well, when I'm done studying or when I'm done with that position, then I'm able to receive. And that's actually completely against the feminine nature, I think, because the the feminine nature is all about receiving and giving, and it's a very flowy process. It's not something that you can measure on a scale, like you measure like the masculine energy is very much okay, task and goal oriented, and then one thing is finished and the next one comes. And the feminine is more like a wave, but it's exactly that what we're all scared of, because the masculine energy gives us this kind of false security that when we do things in a certain order, we will succeed, and we will be able to provide for ourselves. We won't be left alone. But actually, the feminine way is not to think about whether we're going to get there. We just get there by just being who we are. And it pains me to see so many women around me just holding on to that way of doing things because they're just really scared to fail or to not be the perfect woman, which is just an incredible illusion.
Yes, I agree with you very much. um, yeah, there's this fear of not being good enough, not being able to accomplish, not being able to do what most of the time it's the surroundings asking us to get somewhere, to accomplish things. But we totally forgot to look at the process, which also most of the time teaches you everything you need to be taught along the way.
Exactly.
Mhm, mhm. We totally neglect this aspect. Um, yeah. Mm, I would like to, yeah.
Sorry, I also think that somebody once told us the harder we work, the easier it will be to get to where we want to be. And it's so funny that it took me, I'm 28 years old now, and it took me 28 years to realize the more I let go, the easier things fall into place. And isn't that funny how we're kind of living under that impression to a point where either we're hit by some sickness or we hit by some very traumatic experience, or we lose someone, or it's always got to do with some incredible pain, so that we wake up and that we take a step back and we're like, okay, actually, who am I and what am I doing?
Yes, exactly. And I think 2020 has hit a lot of us with pain and ultimately also the realization of what am I actually doing here? Yeah. I see more and more people talking about our topics and more people also trying to do things in a different way. And to get back to what you just said, the more you let go of things, the more you can accomplish. This is very funny, yes. We're taught that we have to be hardworking, we have to force it, and then everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. Just work hard.
Which is, I guess, also very masculine thing, because it's kind of like having everything under control. So I remember with my first collections, as soon as I put them online and I've done all that it takes, to have the finished product in my online shop. Like I did the design, I produced it, I did the sampling, then I did the stock, then I did the photography, and then I did the web design and everything. It was very much like the whole list was accomplished and the product was on there. And then I was like, okay, now it's got to sell. Like it's on there now. I did everything that it needs and it will sell now. And then weeks and months passed by and I didn't sell anything. And I was like, how is that possible? Like I see all these people going to my online shop and I have so many clicks and views, but nobody ends up ordering anything. And then you start doubting yourself because you're like, I did all these things. And, like if I would have just done a better picture of my product, or I've done this better, you start like going back to that hardworking aspect. And you're like, okay, I didn't do it hard enough. I didn't do it well enough. And then I remember very clearly the second that I just let go, because I was so annoyed with this whole situation. I was like, it can't be that I'm constantly beating myself up. I'm not selling, and that I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough advertising, whatever. The second I let go, I had orders coming in one after the other. And I was like, how is that possible? Like the moment I stopped advertising my products, like quite literally, like I was running Facebook ads for such a long time and investing a lot of money. Nobody ended up buying anything. But the second I let go of that thought of, I need to do this and I need to do it better, the second I did that, yeah, all the orders started coming in.
Very interesting. I had exactly the same experience like you. That's how I finished a website for the first time, and there were no sales. Very interesting. But what exactly did you do? Can you put the finger on it?
Well, I guess it's very much, they always say you something and then you have to let go of it. And I always thought like, but I'm letting go of it. Like my thoughts are not around it. I'm already letting go of it. But I needed knocked off with like pain from the moment of I put in so much hard work and nobody's buying it. Like in that moment when I felt so desperate, that's only when I completely let go of it. So I think nowadays I'm trying to really shut off my brain completely the second I put something on the online shop or the second I exhibit something somewhere in a showroom. It's that moment when you really got to stop thinking, because thinking again is such a masculine thing.
Yeah.
Like the woman doesn't, it's like we're not, I feel like for all these years and decades, women were just expected to multitask to be the feminine housekeeper. So you would still have to fulfill all these feminine qualities, but at the same time, you would have to be and you would have to be very goal oriented and driven. And I think that's when I try to just let go and remind myself, okay, now I have finished the product, I have finished the collection, and now it's time to just enjoy and just let go. So it's all about just letting go, not just saying, okay, I'm gonna let go now, like fully let go, like just erase any thought of wanting to sell or wanting
Wanting to sell or wanting
to be a version of yourself or what you would like to be. Just, just let go of everything.
Interesting. I think that's very good advice for many of us who constantly try to put posts on social media, and they think I have to post 4 times a day on Instagram and I need a Facebook page. No, you don't. You don't need a Facebook page, actually. Um, but that's also, yeah, that's also very much the masculine marketing style, marketing way of advertising, which probably works for them too, of course, but not for a woman. And I think it's very beautiful that you came to this conclusion and can share this with us. um, yeah. Hmm.
I think it's also very much about what I said about, being brave in the beginning on when I started doing fashion. I was really, I had so many people criticizing me the whole time. It's like, you're not a real fashion designer. You haven't studied fashion. Like, how can you even just start doing something that's such a, and I get it in a way. It's a very old craftsmanship kind of business. Like, the sort of traditional tailoring. It involves a lot of handwork, and it's a field that it's definitely a field that needs to be studied. But who said that I need to be the crafty woman in order to be a designer? Like I can just create beautiful things, and there's other beautiful people out there who are very crafty and who can like help me and collaborate me and bring, and finish my design and my idea. And yeah, I was very scared for a long time to actually also reach out to other women to admit that I'm not able to do everything by myself. And that was a huge thing for me, because I grew up surrounded by very dominant, very successful male counterparts, and they all did everything themselves. Like they built their business up and they kept going, and I was very much under the impression that like that's how you do it, you know. And if you're already not from a fashion design background, you got to do it even harder. Like you got to prove to the rest of the industry that you're even better. And yeah, I guess it's just all about being bold and saying like, you know what, I don't care. I'm not like the rest, and I don't want to be like the rest. Like I do it my own unique way.
Exactly. I can very much agree to this doing everything yourself attitude as well. I had this for a long time myself, and but luckily, all the people I was listening to and all the coaches said you have to outsource anything you can. And the moment I started to do that, everything fell into place. I don't want to do everything myself. No, why should I do that if this other person can do it much better and faster than me? That leaves more time to me for the stuff that I am really good at. Yeah, I think that's actually to get back to your vision. You had the analogy from before with the housewife that has to do everything perfect but still be in her feminine energy. We kind of forget that back in the days when the women couldn't go out on jobs, they had to be the housewife. They, most of them, the ones who were well off financially, they had maids, they had a cook, they had people for all these jobs. So the woman was actually just be there to be a woman, and she had social engagements and so on. We forget that. We women think we have to do all this and be feminine and have a job and look after the children. No, it is through outsourcing and collaboration, as you said, that we connect with each other, and like this we rise each other up.
It's so true. And it's also such a painful topic, I think, because most of us women didn't have, like the few lucky ones, they had a mother who already lived that kind of a vision. And that said, you know, like, I can't do everything. But then in my case, I grew up with a mother and a grandmother who were very masculine in that respect. Like they were doing absolutely everything, you know. They were the kind of super women that everyone looked up to, that are never tired, that can always keep on going, that have jobs, run their businesses and have children and cook perfect meals and bake the perfect cakes. And you know, growing up seeing this, you kind of feel like, okay, that's just how it works. And all the other women were kind of judged as being lazy, which I think is ridiculous. How can you be lazy when you're doing what you like to do, whatever that is for you, whether you just like to be a mom or a housewife, or you want to be a gardener, or you want to be a designer, or you want to be a business career woman? Like, how can you be judged? Like, how can somebody else judge your own very unique way of being? I think this is a huge topic also between women. It's just jealousy and envy is, you know, is a very sad thing.
Exactly, yes. Um, yeah, we're not lazy if we are being ourselves. And this actually connects back to the word guilt that you mentioned earlier. And many women are so guilty just to be in the now, just not to do something for a change, just to take a day or 2 days, or even 1 week or 1 month or 1 year, who cares? Just to be, yeah, be in the now, because that's when the answers come, that's when the ideas come. They don't come when we constantly think. And we're very guilty. We feel very guilty when we try to do this, or when we are this, or when we say, yeah, I claim not to do anything today. Why do you think that? How did we get here?
I guess it's a mixture of a whole lot of things. I think it's growing up with the wrong perspective. the wrong expectation of how what being a woman means. Like for me, for instance, being a woman meant being spotless, being perfect, being able to do everything, not needing a man to help you, not and environment, obviously, like school, friends who are also very much driven by the same experiences. And then there's also a lot of men out there who also haven't been educated because they themselves had mothers who were kind of super women and never showed any weaknesses. And I guess this all adds up to one big disaster, that women start moving more into the masculine, and then most guys, as a response to that, start moving more into the feminine without even noticing it, and being incredibly frustrated about that, because we're just not meant to spend most of our time in the um counterpartly energy. It leads to frustration, and it leads to all sorts of things. So I guess if we could start educating our children in a different way and kind of talking more about it and giving more like hints or examples of how to do it differently, then people would start listening more. And I think both women and men can make, can make little steps towards that future where we can really be free as women to be really who we want to be. And yeah, and that's very much something that I want to make a change, however that's possible. But I want to make a change in the world, and I want to help other women to really just be brave and open up and free themselves from all the burdens and all the change that we put ourselves in over the decades.
Yes, that's so amazing that you do this and say that. So, what do you think is, what does it mean to be a woman?
I think
Not.
I think this applies to both female and male. It's first of all, I think it's really just doing what you want to do, because there's many women out there who are not the typical housewife. And I don't mean that being female is necessarily, you necessarily need to be a housewife. It's not that whatsoever. You can be the most, career driven woman, as long as you stay within your energy, and as long as you don't start to scatter yourself in all different kinds of places and try to fit yourself into like boxes and places that you just don't naturally fit in. And I think that's the first step, like really checking in with yourself and seeing like, okay, where am I currently in my life? Is this serving me? Does that make me feel good? Does that make me feel happy? What would I like to change? And I think this checking in with yourself is the most important thing, and that you should do that like on a constant basis. Because I sometimes also, I still find myself doing things that don't really serve me, and then in the middle of it I start asking myself like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I doing that? Do I really need to do that? Or could I perhaps do it some other day? Or could I perhaps ask someone else to do it? And I think it's just to be present about the opportunity and the chance to say I could and I don't have to. And of course, this is now I'm speaking from a fairly comfortable position, living in the heart of Europe, having like loads of different possibilities to like help and support. But I think this doesn't have anything to do with where you live, or what you do in life. I think it's just an inner decision that you don't tell yourself you have to do things a certain way. You're more flexible. You can do things a different way, and it will 100% work out. There's always a way to doing things differently.
Mhm.
And then I think, yeah, checking in with yourself more often, because it's only natural that you go off course every now and then, and eventually after a while it's like a muscle, you train it, and the muscle becomes bigger and stronger. And when you do like snap out of it at some point, then you find yourself doing things that are not really serving you, then you have the courage, and you've built up that courage and that knowledge, what it takes to get back into your frequency.
Mm. Yeah, last time we spoke a lot about the difference between what you have to do and what you can do, and what you just explained touched on that. So you would say that really checking if we are on the right path is a must, but the can is more that we need to get out of this constantly having to force things, having to have that many accounts, that many followers. And it's a can. It's better to relax into what could happen and let it happen, magically appear.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And I think it can go from as far, like I've noticed things like I remember when me and my fiance we would have guests over and it would have been a very busy day. And like I like the house to be very tidy and clean and organized. And I would start to like clean last second, like before the guests would arrive, just like making it look even more tidier than it already was, and being totally tired from a very long day of having had many meetings, but then at the same time trying to like look pretty for our guests and do all these things. And I remember it was one of the days when I had a lot of stress going on in my business and I was cleaning the pans and I started to cry in the middle of it, like a very like a very dramatic woman. And my fiance looked at me and he went like, "What are you doing? Why don't you do that later?" And like it hit me and I thought like, you know what? I could just put the pan in the cupboard and I could just wash it up later. But like this thought in my head that I have to, and this is just a very little example of something, a very daily thing that we all experience, that we try to be so perfect and spotless, and just knowing that you have the choice to do these little things that seem so unnecessary later on is incredibly freeing. And then it goes from like little household things over like, you don't need to send out that newsletter today, you don't need to do that posting today, even when somebody told you that posting on a Wednesday at 4 p.m. is the perfect time. Like you can post whenever you want and it will receive your audience as long as you do it like naturally and out of your own free will. And I think, yeah, you can find like we all can list 10 things immediately of things that we can just do another day easily or do later or not do at all. And nothing really would happen.
Exactly, yes. It was a very funny example. I I can share a few more examples about this as well, but we probably all know that you can make your life easy or you can make it complicated. And the older I get, the more I want things to be easy, really, and to make stuff easy for me. And sometimes it's also frustrating to try to convince a friend to just make things easier. Also, yeah, it's so difficult for us to just drop this yeah, wanting to be so perfect and so spotless when the guests come, but they probably won't even notice. Oh, yeah, because not everyone has the same standards anyway, and they, well, they just have to deal with it if they're not happy, right? It's not our problem.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm. About the posting, that's very funny that you mentioned this. So we don't need to post on Wednesday at 5 p.m. because whoever is meant to receive your message will get it, right? If you make it from the heart, it's going to, it will reach the people who need it and who are in the frequency of receiving it right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this might be a little hard to believe because we're all like, we're very action oriented. So we always want to see like an immediate reaction. So when I post something, like I get likes immediately or I get some messages, okay, it's being well received. And that comes also from a place of just not having enough faith in your own femininity, in your own energy. And yeah, it's all connected really, which is so funny. It's all connected, yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's all connected. Everything is connected. And as I always say to my clients, you cannot be rich without being, without having improved yourself in other parts of your life. You cannot be rich without being spiritual. You cannot be rich without being really a kind-hearted person. You cannot keep that money long term. And you also need to do a lot of personal development to actually reach to the highest potential. And there is no number attached to this. For somebody it's 100,000, for other person it will be 100 million. The term rich isn't defined. It's a different thing for everyone, but what I'm saying is that you need to elevate in all aspects of life, not just in one, and tomorrow I'll be rich because I won the lottery, right? um, Everything is connected.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
um, yeah. What would you like to see more of in the future when we speak of women, femininity?
I think the overall goal for us as a society of women is to be able to say no, to be able to say I own my boundaries, I own my body, I accept myself, I love myself, and to really be brave enough to go your own way and to believe that there is your own unique way and it's there for absolutely everyone out there. And I think when we connect with each other and when we lift other sisters up and we really share our most vulnerable, most personal stories and aren't scared that somebody's gonna love at us or somebody's gonna, harm us. If we can help others by being kind and loving and just educating ourselves, and I think that's yeah, then we're heading into the right direction.
Wow, very nice. It's a beautiful message. You told me you also have plans for Vienna for the future. Speaking of the future, can you share what your idea or your vision is?
It's all very much still in the sort of in the beginners phase of it, but basically I see this very much as a life project. It's something that I kind of got the calling or the message to really help other women and start from where I'm based here in Vienna and to kind of create a community or society, as in a place, let's call it a women's club maybe, that you can go to and you can really talk about your problems, but not just from the psychological aspect, also from the self-coaching aspect, from the what it means to be a woman in your body as well. Like, we're cyclical creatures, we don't have like an infraradian clock like the male counterparts do. So it's all about nutrition, about exercise, about alternative treatments, about or just feeling good, just having somewhere where you can go to and you can be a woman full on. And not just for women in their reproductive ages that have cycles, but also for women who've gone through their menopause and kind of feel like their time has gone and they don't feel like women anymore. I feel like it should be a roof for everyone, whether you're like a young teenager who's just experienced her first period and doesn't know what to do with it, or you are a woman who wants to get pregnant and can't because your fertility levels are off. Like, there's a reason to all of that, like all the suffering that we experience as women, whether it's hormonal imbalances or lack of self-worth. I want to create a place where women can go to and they can feel at home and be who they really want to be. And maybe I can help them to kind of, transform into the version that they want to turn into eventually. So it's still like in the brainstorming stages, but yeah, that's my.
Wow, that's a very beautiful vision you have there, and I can't wait to come to Vienna. I think you're going to make a big difference for many women, and it's such places are very much needed everywhere.
Thank you. Yeah, I really feel it. So it's
Yes.
super exciting.
Yes, yes, me too. And we need to connect also each other. Well, we can start online, but it's good to have friends you can speak about this because, yeah, I think we're still in a big minority. We don't have many women. I don't have many women around me who are thinking the same. But so any step into this future is very, very positive, I think.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Mhm. It's a bright future which is coming.
And a very freeing future.
Oh, yes, yes. And yeah, we are born exactly at the right time because we came to make this difference here.
Yeah, and I just thought of something that I wanted to stay still because very often we feel like when we're in like in a partnership or you know we have children that we can't really so easily develop into this free version of the woman that we want to be. Very often it's our own idea of how things are, because I remember a conversation with my fiance where I told him, you don't understand how hard it is to just do what you want to do, you know? And then he said, but why? And I said, well, you know, I don't want you to think that I'm a failure. I want to make you proud. And then he said something very interesting that really freed me at that moment. And I think a lot of men would agree. He said to me, I really don't care what you do as long as you're happy.
Mhm.
And that was kind of like an aha moment for me because I thought, like, you know, I have to make him proud, or and I think I don't have children yet, but I think many women with children would agree, like they want to make their children proud. But what we kind of don't understand is that we make the people around us and including ourselves the proudest as long as we're happy and we do whatever the hell we want to do.
Exactly. Yes. We think too much. It's not necessary. Just do what you can to be happy. I think that's the message of today, yeah.
That's a beautiful one.
Yeah. So you have a surprise for everyone who's interested in knowing more from you and wanting maybe some more time with you. Would you like to share your idea?
Yes, so I would like to have a little Zoom styling party, if you can call that. I don't really know what to call it yet, but basically, I want to, because since I work in fashion and I've, as you can see, I'm sitting in in my rather gigantic wardrobe. I'm very passionate about dressing and styling, and I've always been. And it's a big talent of mine, and it's something that I want to give to other women, because sometimes you don't really know what's your style, or you don't know which colors fit you best, and more than that, how to dress throughout your entire cycle, because there are days in our cycle where we feel more experimental and more outgoing, and then there's times where we feel like we want to withdraw more. And sometimes it's hard to have a wardrobe for that, I feel like, because you have, on one hand, you have very, you know, you're going out clothes and you're very sexy clothes, but then you also want to have some basics. And I kind of just want to show my insights in how to combine those different phases with each other and creating outfits that you feel truly, you know, comfortable and unique in. And yeah, let's have a glass of champagne together and just celebrate that little styling party.
Oh, yeah, that sounds fun. Styling party through Zoom, and then can we ask you questions and show you some?
I would love to see also your favorite pieces, and maybe I can give some advices to how to style it with, because that's something I've always been doing, you know, for friends and also sometimes for a few clients. And I guess it's yeah, it can be a fun little thing to come together and just to enjoy like a couple of hours or an hour's time of, yeah, just, you know, connecting having fun.
Sounds awesome. I can't wait. Oh, yeah. You already have a date set, or do you let your intuition guide you?
I'm gonna let my intuition guide the timing of it, but I think it will happen like mid-March, something, yeah, beginning to mid-March. But I'm gonna post the dates and create the group, and then would be very happy to see many new faces.
Okay, mid-March. Oh, yes. Sounds amazing. I'm looking forward to that. Cool. All right. So let's come to an end. I thank you very much for today's talk. It was great to speak to you again. Yeah.
And thank you for the opportunity to share my, my opinion and my vision. And I think it's fantastic what you're doing, and it's very, very much needed. And yeah, we're starting a revolution here, I feel like.
Yes, thank you. Yes, we are starting a revolution. It's a bottom up. It's always bottom up. It's never top down. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, thank you very much. If you feel like you are also such an amazing woman and you would like to be in one of my interviews, write me. Join the Telegram group that I have, which is for all the other amazing Aquarian age women out there. And you just ask me and I will reply to you, or send me an email. It's discoveryofemininepower@gmail.com, or write a comment on the video. I will see it no matter what. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to having more amazing women on the show. And yeah, have a good day. You too, Christina. We're looking forward to the styling party.
Me too. Have a great day, ladies.
Bye
Loads of
bye.
love. Bye. Bye bye.